So I made a previous video about the holidays and traditions and how I believe that we really need to take a look at these things, because I think we have been groomed and culturally conditioned through tradition. It's a form of behaviorism, Skinnerism. It's Pavlovian. Much of our behaviors are just conditioned responses. I talked about specifically about Halloween and Christmas, and how through the traditions of those holidays we are teaching our children to not have boundaries around their bodies. We are desensitizing them in many ways to violence and darkness. And I think that's very much on purpose. So that we can be turned into more malleable objects, things, slaves, consumers, robots, chattel. And I had a channel previous to this that got canceled. Everything got taken down for misinformation. And I had made a video about the 4th of July on that channel. And how I just think it's really messed up that we celebrate our freedom by conflating it with war, as if those things are inextricably linked. Okay? There are so many people in this country who have given their lives, or who have gone to war and come back maimed with PTSD. They can no longer function as a productive member of society. They can no longer find joy in life because they're shell-shocked. And the way that we thank them and the way that we celebrate them is to every year on the same day trigger their trauma by explosions in the sky that look like bombs going off. We essentially recreate a war zone as a way of celebrating our freedom. That's a form, I believe, of cultural conditioning. It's a form of behaviorism, Skinnerianism, so that we will associate our freedom that we supposedly all have with the need to go to war, to be good little soldiers. And should we be thankful that we're free? Well, yeah, we should all want to be free. I don't believe we are free. I believe that we are very much slaves, fat and happy and lazy. We've fallen in love with our slavery. But ideally, we would be free, and we would be happy and grateful for that. But I find it very strange that the way we celebrate freedom is by essentially celebrating war. And we trigger the people who we've told, oh, you did this for a good cause. Like, we thank you. We thank you for your service. And we thank you. And the way that we're going to thank you is by sending you into a spiral of trauma. No, it's on purpose, guys. It's on purpose. We live in a death cult. Look at what is behaviorism. It is an understanding of neurobiology, an understanding of how the brain is wired, and how behaviors are reinforced through association. So that if I do this thing enough while at the same time doing this other thing, anytime I do one or the other, it will trigger the other. You see what I'm saying? Like Pavlov's dogs. He would ring a bell every time he fed his dogs, right? This was a scientific experiment. To the point where eventually he could just ring the bell and not even present them with any food, and their mouths would begin to water because they associated the ringing of the bell with getting food. I believe this is what our holidays are all about. Our overlords have decided that they want us to walk in a certain direction, to behave in a certain way. So what they do is they take some sort of rewarding, feel-good stimulus like candy or endorphins or pretty lights and camaraderie, like all of these things that make us feel good, and they combine it with the thing that they want to normalize, like violence, like war, like, hey, let me touch your body, don't have any boundaries. That's what's going on, guys. It's like we're dogs and they're training us. We get a treat every time we behave the way that they want us to, and then we go ahead and we start training our children the way that they trained us. We just pass it on unconsciously, unknowingly, and we're all real happy about it. We're fat, happy little slaves that are walking around half asleep and mind controlled. It's a form of MK Ultra. It's all related to this understanding of how to control people's behavior through associations, also through trauma. You traumatize someone badly enough, you create fissures, breaks, splits in their personality, and then you can create all kinds of different triggers for all those different kinds of personalities. Personality states. States of mind. There's a whole new world coming. For good or bad. It's yet to be determined. We get to determine that. We can decide this is all too much, and we can choose to go further into la la land, to sleep, deeper into our unconscious, or we can face the ugly shit that's before us, that's becoming very apparent, and we can dismantle it, break it down, and then decide what we're gonna make out of what remains. Those are our options, but it's not an option to keep doing what we're doing. It's done for. The system is done. It's dead. And are we going to go down with it? Or are we going to choose life and love and freedom and responsibility?